We've given you full details. None of the 800,000 plus that came here under the Boris wave that will be available to apply for indefinite leave to remain over the course of the next 3 to 4 years, none of them will be given indefinite leave to remain. None of them will be given access to the UK's benefit system, and none of them will be able to bring dependents.
Hello and welcome. There's a storm brewing in British politics. A proposal so drastic it threatens to reshape the very fabric of our society. I'm talking about Reform UK's latest vow to scrap indefinite leave to remain, not just for future arrivals, but for the hundreds of thousands of people already living and working here legally. This isn't just another headline. It's a seismic shift that demands our attention, a plan that could see families uprooted and our economy shaken. We're going to unpack what this really means for our country, for our communities, and for the very idea of what it means to be British. So, what exactly is this indefinite leave to remain, or ILR? That's at the heart of this firestorm. For many who come to this country legally, it's the culmination of years of hard work and contribution. It's typically granted to individuals who have been here on a work visa for 5 years, or have lived in the UK for a decade or more. It gives them the right to live and work here without time limits, a crucial step on the path to becoming a British citizen. It provides stability, allowing people to buy homes, build careers, and become part of their local communities. But now, Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage, wants to tear this all down. Their plan is to abolish indefinite leave to remain entirely. In its place, they propose a temporary, 5-year renewable work visa. And here's the part that has sent shockwaves across the nation. This wouldn't just apply to new migrants. They intend to apply this retrospectively, meaning those who already hold indefinite leave to remain would have their status rescinded. They would be forced to reapply under a new, much stricter set of rules. Think about that for a moment. Hundreds of thousands of people who have built their lives here, believing they had a permanent home, would suddenly find their futures thrown into question every 5 years. People who are our neighbors, our colleagues, the people who serve us in our hospitals and care for our elderly. Reform's policy chief, Zia Yusuf, has been quite explicit about the intended consequences. He stated that these changes will lead to hundreds of thousands of people having to apply and ultimately losing their settled status in the UK. He went on to say that many who depend on the welfare state will leave voluntarily upon losing access to benefits, and those who don't will be subject to a mass deportation program. Now, let's be clear. No one is arguing for uncontrolled immigration or for a benefit system that is open to abuse. For too long, we've seen the issue of illegal immigration, particularly the small boats crossing the channel, dominate the headlines, and rightly so. It's a visible and pressing problem that needs a firm and effective solution. We, as a nation, must protect our borders and maintain the integrity of our immigration system. But what Reform is proposing goes far beyond tackling illegal immigration. It targets people who are here legally, who have followed the rules, and who have contributed to our society. Mr. Farage has spoken of a Boris wave of legal immigrants, describing it as the greatest betrayal of democratic wishes. He claims that 800,000 people who arrived under post-Brexit rules are going to be a huge burden on the state. This is where we must be careful to separate rhetoric from reality. The argument is that this policy will save the British taxpayer a staggering £234 billion by preventing non-citizens from accessing welfare. However, this figure has been disputed by the very think tank that originally produced it, which has stated the estimate should no longer be used. In fact, other economists suggest that these migrants could provide a net fiscal benefit. Furthermore, it has emerged that EU citizens with settled status would be exempt from this ban on benefits, which significantly reduces the number of people the policy would actually affect. So, the economic rationale appears to be built on shaky ground. But what about the human cost? And what about the impact on our essential services? The Royal College of Nursing has been scathing in its criticism, with their General Secretary, Professor Nicola Roger, calling the plan abhorrent beyond words. She warned that services would simply cease to function without migrant staff. These are the people who have come to the UK to care for our sick and elderly, becoming integral parts of our communities. To threaten them with deportation is not just cruel, it's self-defeating. London Mayor Sadiq Khan echoed these concerns, stating, "Thousands of Londoners have indefinite leave to remain. They have legal rights and our friends, neighbours and colleagues, contributing hugely to our city. Threatening to deport people living and working here legally is unacceptable. And it's not just public figures who are sounding the alarm. Campaigners have warned that this Trump-style plan would tear families apart. Imagine being a British citizen with a spouse who has indefinite leave to remain. Their status could be revoked, and your family could be ripped apart. We've heard from individuals who have lived here for over a decade, with children born in this country, who are now living in fear of deportation. One research manager from Brazil, who has lived and worked in London for years, paying taxes and volunteering in his community, said the plan makes it impossible to plan normal things like traveling, having housing security, starting a family, or caring for relatives. This is the reality of this policy. It creates a climate of fear and instability, not just for the individuals directly affected, but for their families, their employers, and their communities. It sends a message that no matter how much you contribute, no matter how long you've been here, you can never truly belong. From a patriotic perspective, we must ask ourselves, is this the kind of country we want to be? A nation that pulls the rug out from under people who have played by the rules? A nation that values decency, tolerance, and respect for the rule of law? As Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey has pointed out, Reform's proposal is a radical departure from these values. It's a plan that has been described as unfunded, unworkable, and falling apart in real time by the Labour Party chair, Anna Turley. She rightly questions the cost to businesses, the impact on families, and the timeline for implementation, basic questions that any serious political party should have answers to. Of course, we need a robust and fair immigration system. We need to ensure that those who come to our shores are able to support themselves and contribute to our society. We must also address the issue of illegal immigration head-on. But the solution cannot be to punish those who have come here legally and have made Britain their home. The solution is not to create a two-tier society where a significant portion of our population lives in a constant state of uncertainty. We must protect our land, our culture, and our way of life. But we do that by being strong, fair, and just. We do that by upholding the rule of law and by treating people with dignity. This proposal from Reform UK, in its current form, does not achieve that. It is a blunt instrument that would cause immense harm to individuals, families, and our economy, all based on questionable figures and divisive rhetoric. It is our duty as citizens to scrutinize these proposals, to ask the tough questions, and to demand answers. We must not allow the legitimate concerns about illegal immigration to be used as a cover for a policy that is both morally and practically flawed. It's time for a sensible, compassionate, and effective approach to immigration, one that secures our borders while also recognizing the immense contributions of those who have chosen to make their lives here. It's time for migrants who have not integrated and who are a burden on our state to be encouraged to return to their countries of origin, but this must be done through a fair and just process, not through a policy that punishes all for the sake of a headline. The future of our nation depends on it. Thank you for joining me.